Okay, so after you've come back doing your postural assessment, that's great, but that's only one component of discovering why you might have pain. Now we have to discover some other things, and the only way to do it is through movement, because the static evaluation shows us some things. Now let's sniff out and see if we can find some other things. So the first thing, once again, I would suggest is possibly you watch this and pause it and then get up and do the evaluation, or do it with me. Now, first things first, let's start from the ground up. Take your right foot and take a step back. Just take a step back. Now, did you turn the right foot, or as we would say, externally rotate the right foot out? If you did, I want you to, once again, answer that question, yes. Now, let's go ahead and do the left. Do you turn out as much on the left as the right? If you're not sure, just take a look back, or if you're in a mirror, you're going to see this, right? Now, you notice that I turn out more on my right than my left. The foot that I did that with is the foot that's very flat. So once again, when you step back, if you really rotate out, that could be your pronated foot, all right? So just make a note if you turned your foot out, yes or no. The next evaluation, I would suggest possibly using a wall. So what you're going to do is stand up against a wall, and you're just going to simply balance with your left foot out in front, maybe about 12 inches or actually a little bit closer to the wall. Reach your arms to the ceiling pain-free, if you can do this, and simply reach back and try to touch the wall. Can you touch the wall? That's a really important thing. Switch sides and touch the wall. If you noticed the leg that you're balancing on, there's a discrepancy between the movement of the hip, then I'd like you to make a note of that. So once again, as you step on your right foot, balancing with the left foot out in front, this is what I'm looking for. Do you move through hip extension, or are you touching the wall simply by arching your back? If that be the case, once again, I'd like you to write down yes or no. If you did not move through your hips, and you only moved through your lumbar spine, you have tight hip flexors. So if you answered yes, I have tight calves, and I turn my foot out, then you most likely have tight hip flexors as well. Tight calves and tight hip flexors go very much hand in hand to lower back pain. So make a note of that. Now, moving up the chain, let's talk about our thoracic spine. So now simply stand with your feet about shoulder width apart and lean to your right and lean to your left. Do you have as much flexion to one side? Can you go to the right freely? Can you go to the left freely? If you feel that there's kind of a glitch from one side to the other, I want you to make a note of that. Now, in my case, I go much further to my right versus my left. This is the foot that supinates. So if you feel like, oh man, I can't go quite as far, there's a very good chance that is the foot that supinates. And if you are a supinator, if you remember, that's the turned out foot in the high arch, your side to side movement will be slightly restricted. Now, crossing your arms over your chest, simply keep your hips still, rotate to your right and rotate to your left. Do you go as far to the right as you do the left? You might feel like, oh, I can go really far to one side, but the other side, I feel like there's almost a hitch. And if that be the case, once again, this could be having something to do with a supinated foot, which dramatically affects also low back pain and a tightness in these muscles here. So you are building right now your strategy. So if you said, I don't move as well side to side, and I don't move as well from rotation to side, then we have to look at that. So once again, we've got some components here. Do you have a tight calf? Do you have a tight hip flexor? Do you have tight side to side movement? Do you have tight rotation, one side versus the other? Make sure that you pay attention to that. Now just kind of moving up the chain. What's your shoulder flexion like? Can you move freely from the right to the left? What is your range of motion when you reach to the ceiling? Do you feel that one side moves really freely, and the other side you start to elevate up through the neck and the shoulder. If you find that you're doing this, once again, there could be that tightness on the same side in the low back, stemming again from a very supinated foot. So make a note and say, can I do this freely, pain-free? Same thing, side to side. What's your range of motion side to side? If you feel like in this plane of motion, which is basically our frontal plane, do you have as well movement? Make a note of that. So all these little things will lead to, in all honesty, where possibly your pain is coming from. So when you watch and download the program, you'll be able to say, yeah, my calves are tight, and this strategy worked really well, and I feel the difference. So the goal of a moving evaluation gives you a self-observation of some things that we need to work on with you. So I look forward to seeing you in the upcoming exercises that will help you to become pain-free and really enjoy your life.